Hello, it's Nick. Welcome back. In this video, we are talking about Taylor Swift, and I'm considering labeling this video Taylor Swift, the Lazy Feminist. You will know, if you're watching this, what the title is, and I know it's a pretty harsh title, but I'm going to lay out some reasons why I believe this, and a lot of it has to do with her record deal or record label issue that she had with her previous record label, and now what's happening with that sale that happened there, and how she's turning this into she was wronged again. And so I have some information that I'm going to share and some thoughts that indicate to me why she is a lazy feminist and what she maybe, or an alternative way she could have handled this to actually make this a beneficial thing for society. So the whole thing happened when she, left her original label, Big Machine label group, which she had been with for her whole career since she had any prominence. And what I didn't know as I was researching this topic to get a little more information, which I will talk about in an article that I'm going to read out of in a little bit, is that she had a little bit more power family-wise in that record label than we really are being told publicly, or we're purposely being left out. Some information is being left out from us to put that would kind of debunk the narrative or maybe give Taylor a little less credibility in this argument. Anyways, what we do know is that after she left her old label and once she signed with her new label, we learned that she actually turned down a few deals to keep her masters, meaning the original recording of the songs that she had on the first label. And from what I've been reading, that is kind of an industry standard for newer artists when they sign like their first contract, is they basically give up a lot of their rights in order to have that exposure and to start building their career. I'll talk about later how maybe that is something we should start straying away from, but anyways. And the problem came when, one, she left her old label, and two, that old label was sold to someone she didn't like, who is Scooter Braun, and apparently, according to Taylor, she has made it aware, or made it a thing that, and made her old label aware that she did not like him. And so when she found out that the old label was sold to the person she doesn't like, which means that he now owned her masters, that was when the huge controversy blew up, which was that they were saying it was spiteful or whatever, and they were ganging up on her or attacking her, whatever you want to call it, however she spun this. And so now we come to the point where it appears, from what I've read, that Scooter Braun, who owned Taylor's masters, the guy she didn't like, is now selling the label again. And now she's mad, from what I've read, that he did not offer her masters back. So it's kind of interesting that she said she gave up the opportunity to keep her masters, which it appears that it is a big deal to her, but it wasn't really a big deal until after they were sold to someone she didn't like. And then she trashes the guy that bought the masters record label, if you will, and then expects him to do her the courtesy to offer to give him back to her for whatever amount of money. To me, this is all kinds of messed up, but I'm going to get into more than just kind of that overall look of, you can't expect people to kind of bow down to you after you've trashed them, especially if they have something of that importance to you. And there'll be a few quotes later about kind of her thought process and her feelings towards having to turn down her masters. Anyways, another thought I had was, I think either way, Scooter Braun would have looked like the bad guy in this situation. And by the way, you might have heard his name. He's Justin Bieber's manager. That's probably how you've heard of him. And it's a simple thing, because he's a man and she's a woman. It didn't matter what he would do, what he was going to do. They would probably find a way to get mad at him and the former record label that sold it to him. So I think that's kind of a lose-lose at this point, and now it's actually becoming less and less of a valid argument, the kind of man versus woman thing, especially if it has nothing to do with the genders. So now let me get into the article I wanted to read from. It's from Fox News. They seemed to have shared a few pieces of information that a lot of other news sources were leaving out because of, in my opinion, the agenda that other news sources had at the time of this publishing this article. I'm not saying that Fox News has gotten any better or is actually good anymore, but anyways, I thought this was good information. And so part of the article says, and by the way, this article is called, quote, Taylor Swift's feud with Scooter Braun, What to Know About the Sale of Big Machine Records. It came out November 15th. Sorry, it was published July 1st, 2019 and updated November 15th, 2019. So I'm going to read the part that says, okay, did Taylor Swift know about the sale? Because that was a big claim. And they say, quote, Swift claimed she was never made aware of the sale and learned Braun had acquired her first 6 albums through news reports. Borchetta, who is the former owner of the record label, responded to the claims, writing that he sent a courtesy text to Swift on June 29th, the night before the deal was supposed to be was reported in the Wall Street Journal. Whether Swift saw the text before seeing media reports is disputed. And then Borchetta also wrote, according to Fox News, that Swift's dad, Scott Swift, was a shareholder in Big Machine Records, LLC. He said that all shareholders, including Scott Swift, had been alerted on June 25th to the label's sale to Braun's Ithaca Holdings. However, a rep for Swift told Variety that her dad didn't participate in the June 25th shareholders call, quote, due to a very strict NDA, and, quote, did not want to be required to withhold any information from his daughter. A proxy had instead represented him on the conference call into the meeting, sources told the outlet. So to me, this is an interesting piece. I did not know that Taylor's dad was on the board or a shareholder of the company. I don't know the timeline of when he was a shareholder, but I don't understand why we are holding some people in society accountable for nepotism and not others. I'll just leave it at that. So the next part of the article I wanted to share was the part that said, why doesn't she own her work? So according to this Fox News article, Swift signed with Big Machine in 2005 when she was 15 years old. The terms of her deal gave the label the rights to her recordings, a common practice in the music industry. But Swift claims that she had tried to buy them back in the years since. Quote, for years I asked, pleaded for a chance to own my work, Swift claimed in her post, and, quote, instead I was given an opportunity to sign back up to Big Machine Records and earn one album back at a time, one for every new one I turned in. I walked away because I knew once I signed that contract, Scott Borchetta would sell the label, thereby selling me in my future. I had to make the excruciating choice to leave behind my past. Borchetta claimed that there were terms negotiated for her to purchase her masters, which she declined. Sources with knowledge of the deal also told Variety that there were at least 2 offers to sell Swift her masters and that she declined both. One more thing I want to talk about is they asked why didn't Taylor Swift buy the record label? And they said, quote, it's unclear whether Swift could have bought the Nashville-based label outright or if she even had any interest in doing so before its $300 million sale. The singer had an estimated net worth $320 million in 2018, according to Forbes. She left Big Machine that year and signed a new deal with Record Republics, a subsidiary of Universal Music Group. In November, sources told the outlet that the deal could be worth from $100 million to $200 million in guarantees. So, the reason I talk about all this is because it appears she's had multiple opportunities to own her work, and she didn't make a big fuss about it, partly because she's under contract with that label. She was under contract with the label still, and now she's only complaining because it was sold to someone she doesn't like. To me, it seems weird that if it was that important to you to own your masters, and you knew that they were going to be sold to someone anyway, at least have the opportunity to own your masters. If you don't like the record label head, you can use your power to kind of maybe push him out or get some other power in place, or at least be able to speak out against them maybe. I don't know if that was in her contract that she couldn't talk badly about her record label or whatnot, but if you sign it away, you sign it away. So anyways, this is an indication to me of the whole entitlement thing. Sure, you created the work, but you signed over your power early on. and continued declining. And instead of blaming yourself or whoever advised you to not sign these deals or to sign away your rights in your early contract leading to this problem, she's decided to kind of blame everyone else. Now, I think this would have been a perfect opportunity for her to say, hey, early on in my career, I signed these contracts that were not the best, and now I'm seeing the results of that being negative and things I don't like. So what I think she could have done is warn other people, warn new people into the industry, men, women, whoever, about these things when you enter the industry and what to look out for, and that it is not worth it in the long run if you truly want it that bad and you really want to obtain some level of success or notoriety with your work. So tell them that selling your soul, she could have told them, like, selling your soul in a contract and signing away your rights is not worth it. Because not only would she have helped the next generation of women not have to face this as much, but she could have helped everyone not face this wrong, if you will, as much, and in turn would have elevated everyone through competition, which at the end of the day would have been the feminist kind of thing to do, in my opinion, for what I understand what the original intent of feminism was, which was to have an equal opportunity and be able to be competitive and have the opportunity to work hard and actually beat everyone else. So that is why I came up with the lazy feminist argument, because I think that she had an opportunity to say, hey, I made mistakes, learn from my mistakes, and so that way you can do better and not have to go through what I'm going through right now. But instead, she turned it into putting herself in the victim mindset and creating more victims and almost making it okay to be entitled to something when you were the one that kind of put yourself in that position, whether you knew it or not. So this actually made me think back to a few other times, I think, where Taylor has kind of been the victim, and where maybe I don't think she could have been, or she could have used it for some other good, which the one that really sticks out to me was the VMAs when she was on stage accepting an award. Remember, she beat Beyonce, and then Kanye West stormed the stage and said Beyonce should have won. And out of that, we kind of rallied around Taylor because we thought it was wrong. But at the end of the day, she won an award and she got a huge career out of it. So, I mean, I don't think she ended up being really the victim long term. And then she ended up kind of getting spiteful, which I don't actually blame her for this, when she won a Grammy years later, hinting that back to that incident where men were trying, or she said men were trying to take away from her success or her career. So there was that. So my question is, will it ever be enough? You have a catalog worth hundreds of millions of dollars. She still gets royalties from them. It's not like she's working for free by singing her songs or whatnot, or having them on her YouTube channel or streaming. She has awards, she has fame, and despite you signing away your rights, basically, and not owning your masters, and you still were able to obtain all these things, what's the problem? Now, I'm not saying women can't or shouldn't be in high positions, or they shouldn't be able to ascend to certain levels above men or equal to men, whatever it may be. But the problem I have is focusing on the feminism type thing, focusing on someone's gender rather than their traits that make them good at whatever it is that they're trying to do. In my opinion, by focusing on the traits of the people rather than their gender or whatever labels we put on them, we will achieve a more equal representation without the toxicity. Everyone will be better off. So overall, lessons learned from Taylor's situation throughout her whole career, meaning from the contracts and now them coming to fruition and her not liking what's happening, is own your mistakes and missteps. And don't blame others for the things that you were able to control. Learn from them, tell people to kind of be cautious of these certain things, and that's as much as you can do at this point. So let me know what you think of this topic. I know I tried to wait a few days until after her album came out to talk about this. I thought it was a good time to bring this up because since the master issue came up again with them selling it again and she being mad that they didn't sell it to her, I thought I would kind of encompass all of this and also share some thoughts on what she maybe could have done to make this a little bit of a better situation for society and for future generations to hopefully make sure it doesn't happen in the future. So head to the comments. I'd love to chat it up with you. Let me know what you think. And if you like this type of commentary, Make sure to subscribe to my channel for weekly videos regarding this type of stuff, pop culture, politics, social issues, whatever it is. I cover it on here when I find something interesting or have some thoughts. So with that said, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.